How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, it does look like we do have a potential to break this pocket zone. This is that consolidation zone from that previous bear market. So if we break below this, we could see some lower highs and lower lows here, potentially making a head and shoulders that could break us even lower. Remember, we do have that 100-101 gap. So we could end up filling that finally after a very long time leaving that gap open. Our stochastic does want to round away here. Blue is trying to cross orange. RSI is pulling back. Momentum does have a double red dot, suggesting VWAP does want to continue into bearish territory. If that yellow wave continues to break below this neutral, we will see this money flow continue to curve away and head toward the red, showing that we have selling pressure on these higher time frames. Usually that would be positive for crypto because when Dixie goes down, usually crypto goes up, but sometimes they are correlated like today. Over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we are overall pushing away, so Bitcoin did lose more than our altcoins. Altcoins have been outperforming Bitcoin. This could be more of that pushing down toward that 55%. Now it says 54, I believe here, so 54%. So that could be more pushing down toward that lower percentage area, giving those altcoins the run they would need to gain alt season. Stochastics overall weakening, RSI is doing the same, VWAP is favoring bearish, and momentum is breaking. I would watch if this continues. We likely would see dominance continue to slide, meaning our altcoins would continue to outperform Bitcoin. Over on total for the daily, our stochastic is starting to round away, so I would exercise caution. If that RSI and stochastic continue to drop away here, price likely will round away. We could make a rounding top, and if followed by a strong red candle, we could end up breaking away. It does show we could retest around that 801 area. If we break that 801 area, then we can push down toward that 744. That would mean that Bitcoin could end up pushing lower and worse than we see total if that dominance continues to slide down with us. VWAP is favoring bearish right now, so I would watch. We tried to make a bullish run with a slightly higher high, but now we are making a consistent low, so watch that VWAP very close. If it starts to favor bearish on these lower time frames, it's likely we will continue lower. Over on this 1 hour, we do have a higher low here, but that is following this lower high, so I would exercise caution. If we cannot make a bounce and continue forward from this candle, we want to see confirmation, then it's likely we could end up pushing away and try to make a lower low. So RSI is pulling back, stochastic is weakening, and VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, and money flow is weakening. So if that VWAP does not reclaim bullish territory, it's likely momentum and money flow will continue to push down. And remember, when that money flow flips into the red and holds for several hours, higher time frames will start to weaken, and that gives us potential for bigger candles, meaning bigger selling candles than we are seeing right now. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, we do have that same rounding top potential going on. We did get about 2/3 to half of our break up, so we are going to delete this flag as we are now pulling back, and it does look like we could end up breaking away. So we'll delete all these previous patterns, clean things up. There is a potential 77% chance we pull back down toward that 76K. That is a pretty drastic drop here. That is more than we would see on Bitcoins when we get to the Bitcoin daily. But that's because we have this gap, and remember, gaps are 80% likelihood to fill usually, so this one is at 77%. That 77 is also for that to make a higher low and then continue forward like we said we would want to see when we fill that gap. If we do not make a higher low and then continue forward from there, we do have around those 54K gaps, so things could get real bloody, and there is a 22% chance of dropping around 30K, which if we got in that zone, there is around a 20 to 15K gap yet still that we did not fill from the bear market. So watch things very close because we could get down pretty quick, just like when we made the bear market. Keep that in mind. The bear market came quick without warning. Stochastic is starting to pull back, RSI is weakening, momentum is rounding, and our VWAP is rejecting that neutral. Money flow is pulling out, so that daily doesn't look too positive. Watch that VWAP on those lower time frames. If they do not rebound and hold, that daily will start to weaken and continue lower. But over on the 1 hour, it does look a little more positive, and there's a 60% chance we could push to about 109, 110K. So that is positive, but that would be dependent on this low being the lowest we go. If we make a lower high and then we make a lower low after that, we could make a bearish continuation that would invalidate this probability, and that would bring us to that lower part where we saw in that daily there. Stochastic is pushing up, RSI is pushing forward, VWAP is bullish, momentum is pushing up with a green dot, so that is positive. If that VWAP can continue forward, then we do have the chance of breaking up. We need to break past that 96K. 96K is a probability of making a lower high, so if we stop out there and pull back, that's where that bearish scenario could come into play. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, going to be very similar to futures minus the daily. The daily does show we could pull back to 81%, and as futures does trade at a premium to Bitcoin, we could see even lower if that futures gap does fill. RSI is starting to drop away, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping, stochastic is weakening, so overall the daily isn't too strong here. I would exercise caution and watch the 1 hour. We have been warning of this for a few days, that we could see some sort of rejection. It wasn't looking too good back in here, and now we are overall pulling back. We did have that inverted head and shoulders from last night, but like we mentioned in the Discord, if we zoom in, we did have that probability, but we also mentioned watch our lower highs and lower lows. If we get those lower highs and lower lows, we could break away, and that's what we pretty much saw. So we tried to get our head and shoulders, we tried to make a very short shoulder right here, but nonetheless, we did pull back around the range and our order filled, and then we would have wanted to watch for that confirmation of breakup. We did get rejected by that Fibonacci level, and then after getting that Fibonacci rejection, we got a red candle, and we just tumbled away from there. That's why confirmations are important. Don't just go, oh, we're going to tear up just because there's a pattern that says you could push up. So we will delete that, as that is no longer valid. It will not let me delete. There we go. So over on the 1 hour, we are overall pushing down very quick. In that, I would watch for a push up. Remember, when you get very quick move one way, you typically retrace it with a move the opposite direction. But we did see a very quick move up when we got a break toward this 100K range. So this is pretty much a response pullback toward that quick pull up. Now, if we can consolidate and then make higher highs with higher lows, meet some kind of middle ground, make this a support area, then we could push up, see further price action higher. We can draw a horizontal line here since it could be a critical zone. I would watch for a continuation, but if we do see a rejection of this area and we get further lower highs and lower lows, then we do have some lower targets. I am eyeballing this 91.6 range that has been a pretty decent consolidation range, we'll say, where we've had a lot of candles and bodies touching on this 1 hour, and then the other range we look at buying is somewhere in this like 83K range. That would be for a paper trading account that we have connected. So remember, we are trading with fake money. Keep that in mind. It does trade a little different than real money, but it's a good way to test your theories. RSI is starting to pull back, stochastic wants to round, VWAP is trying to break forward, and momentum is pushing up. If that VWAP can make a bullish run, momentum will push higher, money flow could go into the green, and if money flow holds in the green, then we can continue further. Right now, that money flow is more bearish, that VWAP is more bearish, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP gets lower high and rejects, it's likely we will continue lower. However, if that VWAP stays around neutral, that's where we would get that consolidation. And if that VWAP creates a bullish trend, then we would want higher highs with higher lows that do not connect to make a bullish continuation. If they do connect, that's a rising channel, and a rising channel would break you down. So that's a lot to unpack, but over on graph for the daily, we do have indecision here as well. We are rejecting that 26.424. Remember, if you have any comments or any requests, we will stop after algo, so drop them in the comments if you want to see ETH, file, render, any other coin. Stochastic wants to round away, RSI is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding, and that VWAP does have a potential lower high, so watch for lower lows. If we get lower low here, we could see graph break down and push toward that 20-cent area. We have been warning of that for some days. That's why you see the sell. We sold out because we wanted to get our profits from that range, and we are seeing a breakaway. So I would exercise caution. There is also a high chance that we do push down toward about 17. That is where that value area high is. If we don't get green candles at that value area high, then we can end up breaking down toward that 16.316, and we'd revisit other things as we get there. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is pushing down, and that VWAP is in a bearish trend, so watch that on the lower time frames. If that VWAP continues a bearish trend on this 1 hour, we will see that daily breakaway, and we will start to retrace. Over on the 1 hour, RSI is starting to pull back, stochastic is rounding, momentum is breaking down as that VWAP favors bearish with consistent consistent lows and lower highs. So watch if we reject here. If that VWAP rejects here, momentum will remain bearish, money flow will go into the red, and higher time frames will break down. That would be what would take us to our 20 cents. However, if that VWAP gets higher highs after getting this higher low, then momentum could gain strength, money flow could make a bounce, and we could fill that probability of that 30-cent range. Remember, that's only a 40% probability. The higher chance is making a lower high, seeing a rejection at that lower high, and then continuing lower. So over on Anchor for the daily, we do have the potential for a rounding top here as well. Again, watch for a red candle. We did fill our buy order because we did say if we pulled back, we wanted to get some just in case the rest of the market did shoot up tomorrow. So remember, we do still have that hope, but things are looking a little more bearish. Stochastic wants to round, RSI is starting to pull back, momentum is rounding with a red dot, VWAP is starting to break down, we got a little bit of a higher high, so watch if we can get a higher low. If we get a higher low here, momentum will continue higher, money flow will remain green, and we can push higher toward that 40 and 42 range. However, if that VWAP stays bearish, then it's likely we would end up breaking away and possibly pushing down toward that 34. If we can't hold that 34, I would eyeball around that 30. So we'll see what the 1 hour probabilities are. So the 1 hour probability does state that we could end up dropping down around that 30 like we said. And then there is a probability from the current candle to try to break resistances. It does show a higher high of around 49 cents, so that would be positive. But it does show we could also reject that 40.86, so watch that very close. That resistance is acting pretty strong right now, or 40.66, sorry. Money flow overall is weakening, but that VWAP is in a bullish trend that is positive, pushing momentum higher with that green dot. So if VWAP gets higher highs with these higher lows, money flow can make a bounce, price action will follow, and will push forward. However, if that VWAP rejects this neutral over the next couple candles, and then we see a lower low, we will see momentum remain bearish, money flow will continue to weaken, and we would break down. If you want to capitalize on where we could break down, you could do some sort of a trade order somewhere in between here. Let's say buy 100 algo, click the buy button this time. Apparently you had to click that even though you tell it you want to buy in that range. So you can end up setting your buy order. That would be around that 35. Again, don't go for the max gain or max pain. You could end up waiting out. So if you waited till this 30 cents, you could be left out. Let's say you want to buy only 100 algo. The best way to do it would be buy, I'd say, 2/3, a half to 2/3 of your position on the initial buy. Then you could do another buy above that range. Let's say there's heavy consolidation here. You could right click, do your trade here, and then you could pick up that other 50 right here if you wanted. So that would be dependent on how you want to trade. Ideally, DCA in, DCA out, you'll win over time. Time in the market is better than trying to time the market. So over on XRP for the daily, we do have some consolidation here. I would exercise caution as we do have several red candles. I'm going to delete this channel here as that consolidation and decision is making that less probable. Momentum's overall starting to push down. VWAP is favoring bearish. Money flow is starting to stagnate. So watch that VWAP very close. If that yellow wave continues to push down here, momentum will continue to push lower, and that green wave will end up turning toward the red if we break that neutral. So again, watch that yellow wave, that VWAP. If it continues bearish, momentum, our blue wave, will continue lower, and we could end up breaking down. So over on the 1 hour, we do have a few probabilities here. So there is a chance we could break up toward that 171. That would be providing we do not make a lower high with lower lows here. We do have a lower high here, so exercise caution because that lower high does give us a probability to push to about the 123. So if we go over to our trading window here, we'll see what we have on our account. So we do not have any XRP. So if you've been on the sidelines and you want to buy, let's say this range right in here, right around that yellow line, we could buy. I don't want to go quite aggressive with 400. Let's do just 200, not very much. Oops, 200. For some reason, this gets a little buggy. Hit the buy. There we go. We'll do 200.01, I guess. I could probably down that to just 200. There we go. Now it's a non-goofy number. So that would be a support range that is depending on this consolidation range here. We have pulled back to it a few times right back here. We did have consolidation here at it. And if we look at previous history, I'm sure there's previous history at this zone too. Now, if we were to look at anything beyond that, don't know why everything just decided to disappear on us. So we'll get that to come back here. So over on the 1 hour, we could have another kind of range right around, let's say, this $1.15 that would be providing we break even lower. Apparently our indicator disappeared, so we will have to fix that. So we'll jump over to our normal window, get rid of our trading, go to our indicators, and we'll get that MPP back on there if it lets us. Apparently TradingView does not want to cooperate. There we go. So now that our MPP is back, it does say we have a 72% probability to pull to that $1.23. That's why I set that initial buy-in right here at that $1.33. You could go a little lower if you wanted, like right there. But that's taking in between the two arrows. That's between where we are right now, where it says we could make a higher low, 27% chance that higher low would be needed to push to that $1.71. If we don't get that higher low here and continue further, then we have that probability of pushing to that $1.23. And if we can't hold support in this range where we have that buy order, then we could end up cascading to that $1.15 and other ranges. So that's how that would play out. VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping down, money flow is bearish, stochastic is dropping, and that RSI overall is losing strength with that stochastic, so watch very close. If that stochastic breaks that 30 and holds, it's likely RSI will start to break away, price will follow, and we could end up pushing down. So right now, lower time frames don't look too great. Again, if you have any special requests, drop them in chat, as after algo, we will be done. Fix this to a white line there so it's easier to see. So over on algo for the daily, we did fill our buy order as well, as we got that drop down to around 25 cents. So you can see we had that order ahead of time and we got in on that candle wick. That's how you're going to get on those wicks, by having your orders ahead. You don't get in on that price action by setting your order right now, because it could be a flash fluctuation and you could just be left holding. Momentum is starting to round away. We have a double red dot. VWAP is breaking down and money flow wants to weaken. So overall, we do look a bit more bearish. I would watch for a further drop down. So over on the 1 hour, we do have a lower low here. So that is following a higher high. We tried to get a bullish run, and that bullish run is I can't get words out, possibly being invalidated. So that bullish run, if we break for a lower low here, we could end up breaking down. The probability says only 25, but I'd say watch for that value area high. That would be around that 1949. If we end up breaking that 25, that's likely our next range of support. We also have some consolidation right around this 2430, but beyond that, we kind of just blast it up. So I would watch. Overall, this MPP does say if we do get a higher high here, there is a chance of pushing toward that 34 cent again, trying to retest those highs. But again, if we get lower highs and lower lows, that's likely not going to happen for any of these coins. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and join us in that Discord.